Hey, what's up, Tom? How you doing today, man?
I'm doing great.
That's good to hear. I'm glad that you joined us on the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks podcast.
Cool.
It's good to finally see the man behind Facebook.
Yeah, I spend probably an unhealthy amount of time there, but yeah, man, it's good to see you guys. Actually, Banks, I've seen you before. Probably like at a wrestling show or something. I've seen you wrestle. That's what I'm trying to say. Somewhere along the way.
That's awesome, man. It's crazy because I was gonna say that I met you through our mutual friend Mercedes, who is a mutual friend of Trav.
Yes.
And it's like a giant grapevine. And when I met you on Facebook, I was just like, okay, this guy's cool. He's very knowledgeable when it comes to film and whatnot. It's like we have a lot of the same interests when it comes to like superhero films and whatnot. And then when I found out you were a director, I was just like, okay, that's awesome. You know what I'm saying?
Well, thank you.
You're welcome. You're welcome, man. And like I said, thanks again for joining us on today's episode.
Of course.
So before we get into like the movie talk and everything, just tell the listeners and viewers a little bit about Tom White. Like, who is Tom White? What is your origin story?
My origin story. I'm a guy that likes to make films. Ultimately, I found out that when you have a creative passion for something that you enjoy doing, it's just this thing in you that always wants to do that thing. So, I actually first got into film through theater. There was this really great guy that I met named Bonifacio Herrera who started this thing called Channel 757, which was before YouTube, it was videos that were online. So I was like, that was pretty cool. It's where he put all of his stuff. I pitched this idea for a movie to him that I didn't end up making until like several years later. But, he liked the idea and he said, well, I'll help you make it. And he just took me, taught me how to edit, helped me shoot my first movie. And I've actually been, I always tell him he's changed my life because I've been making movies ever since, brief sabbaticals here and there, just for sanity. Cause, it is what it is. But yeah, so that's it. I was make a lot of short films. I love short form cinema. And enjoy internet videos. As I said, to you guys off camera, I guess that I really enjoy spending a lot of time on YouTube, watching videos, watching short films and everything there. And I like that. I've always enjoyed that ability to tell those short form stories. So,
So I wanted to ask you, because like you said, where you love short films and whatnot.
I do,
because I checked out a lot of your stuff to prepare myself for this episode, and the first video that I watched was Remembrance, and I remember when after I had watched it, like I had hit you up and I had watched the cartoon as well, and I was heated. I was heated when I watched the cartoon, and I wasn't expecting the ending that I saw. And I love how the stories that you tell, it's like, while they are short, I feel like there is a lot of depth in these stories that are being told. So D, starting with you, out of the films that you watch, what was your favorite that you saw? Did it make you sad? Did it make you happy? Did it piss you off like it did me when I watched The Cartoonist? What was your favorite?
Probably, I believe the title is The Poet. Was probably my favorite that I watched. I just like the story, and overall, Tom, your ability to have like a cliffhanger kind of effect to yours, I really like. It has a little bit of nostalgia to it. Reminds me of things like Are You Afraid of the Dark? The short stories like that and that nature. It's just very, and it took me back a little bit. I like that story a lot, and it was kind of like, someone basically trying to come to terms with something, and sometimes it's hard to do, just like it was displayed in media. Sometimes it's easier said than done.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, man.
Thank you for that.
Yeah, very well done. Yes, sir.
Yeah, like I was saying with me, because I watched Remembrance first, and I love the story of you had these people, they were going to AA to try and better themselves. And Tom, like, I thought that was really cool, like how you did that, man.
Oh, well, thank you. But
you're welcome.
You totally spoiled my movie I haven't released yet, though.
Oh, wow. Oh, jeez.
Well, that one's on a private link. I haven't released. Remembrance has been released into the festivals, but we haven't released it online wide and everything there. So it's just,
Well, when is it going to be released online?
Actually, what we've actually decided to do, I was talking with my partner Sergio, and because he shot everything, he shot Remembrance. He didn't shoot the poet, but he shot Remembrance. He shot the cartoon, Cure for Loneliness. Anyway, but Sergio and I, we were talking about it, and previously we were going to release all of the Bad Things Good People shorts online as these separate shorts. We've decided to actually release it as an anthology feature length.
Oh, nice!
Because right now we meet that number. So I was saying, let's just go ahead and do it. Because honestly, they were all meant to be watched together anyway. Mm-hmm. So it's like, instead of putting them all online and just hoping that somebody finds one and then decides, oh, let me go back and watch them in the order that they came in and such and such. This way I can just, hey, here it is. Boom. This is it. This is the anthology film. Please enjoy.
I mean, you can't, anthology, it really was for the theme that you have going too. Right. Like, another one that I really liked was, The Cure for Loneliness.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
Yeah, man. That was, like I said, man, it's a bit of, it's just, the storytelling. It's very it takes me back, when you watch something that captivates you, you start to think, it gets your mind working. And I really like that too.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Cure for Loneliness was a fun one to work on. I really enjoyed it. I tell people that was my first good one. So but yeah, no, Cure for Loneliness is great. That's the first one I worked with Sergio. First one, actually, a lot of my not all of my current core crew and team, but a lot of new faces. First time I worked with Sergio. It's the first time I worked with my co-producer Bree. It's first time some of us all got together, but it was also the first time that I worked with Richard Russell, who ended up writing all of the shorts for Bad Things, Good People, and everything. He's working on the current film we're working on, Obscura. And he's a great writer, and he's been, honestly, since The Cure for Loneliness. And it was crazy because at that point in time with Cure for Loneliness, I hadn't shot anything in about 2 years, other than I had helped produce a comedy special, but it'd been some time that I had been on kind of like a break because I'd had another kid, so I was kind of took some time off. Like those are where my sabbaticals happen, is when a kid was born, and
that's how I go.
Take about a year or two off. Yeah, there you are, Trav.
There you are,
bro. I don't know what happened. Your boy had to switch mics.
You sound a lot louder now too.
Yeah, you sound a lot clearer.
Yeah. So, I don't know what was going on.
Tom, question for you.
Sure.
What led you to, I guess we would say, theater? Was it just something, would you classify that as theater?
Well, first with theater, what led me to theater was just, honestly, high school. I was just looking for something to do. I took it as an elective. I really enjoyed it. And then it just became this thing where, and through theater, I was acting. I was an actor.
Okay.
I did direct. I directed like plays and everything in high school, and then into college, and did that whole thing. But in college is where I met and transitioned into into wanting to be a director, because that's when I did my first film, and I just enjoyed the process. I really enjoy the process of being able to follow something through from concept all the way to post and in the finish, and then you get to hear the reactions from people, and sometimes they're good reactions, sometimes they're bad reactions, but the point is, I always think to wrestling, at least they're reacting.
Yeah, exactly.
That's kind of my thing.
That's one thing we always say. It's like, whether they're booing or they're cheering, as long as they're reacting, that's what really matters. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
It's cool. I want to be able to create, man. If everybody hates my stuff, that's cool. I love M Night Shyamalan, and I think he's made a career on being able to be hated. It's worked out for him pretty well.
Yeah, he flips a lot of coins.
Yeah, and my favorite thing about M Night is because those are my favorite directors, or the auteurs, the ones that they have this distinctive style that when you see an M Night Shyamalan film, there's a feeling that comes along with seeing an M Night Shyamalan.
Oh yeah,
whether you loved it or hate it, it's just there's a certain tone all of his films hit that you just know he did it. You know what I mean? And that's kind of, and I love all of those. He's hit or miss. Sometimes he makes a great film, and M Night Shyamalan, like I said, when he's good, he's really, really good. But when he's bad, it is what it is.
I completely agree with you on that.
Yep.
Hold on. What's good and what's bad to you? Like, where's
what's good and what's bad? Well, I think it's all subjective because it's technically art. So, like I said, I love M Night Shyamalan, even when I don't think he did a good job on stuff. Like, for example, I love Unbreakable. Unbreakable to me, like that's one of those films where I saw it when I was really young, and we went to the movies, and my sisters wanted to go see some kid movie I didn't want to go see, and I was like, Mom, can I go see that? And she was like, what is it, PG-13? Yeah, sure, cool. And because that's back when you would let your kids do that stuff. Nowadays, people crazy. Anyway, so I went in and I watched Unbreakable, knowing nothing about it. By the way, that was the thing. Like as a kid, and I love superheroes and I love comic books and everything. You see the Justice League back here behind me. Like I love them, right? But I had no idea what that movie was about when I sat down to watch it. So when it turned out being like this whole real life comic book thing, I was like, this is awesome. And that was actually the first film from him that I saw, because I hadn't seen The Sixth Sense when everybody with everybody else. I actually didn't catch that till it was on like The Wonderful World of Disney or something back when they used to do that on ABC.
I still haven't seen it, man, to be honest.
It's a good movie.
It's
a good movie, man.
It's good. It's like but here's the thing, it's like a one-trick pony kind of movie.
Yeah,
it is.
That's a great way to put it.
That's it. Like once it's done and you get to the end, like when you haven't seen it and you get all the way to the end, it's fantastic, right? Yeah. Because then you can go back and you enjoy it, because you'll go back and look at the
little breadcrumbs.
Like, how did I not pick up on it?
Yeah. But it's one of those things where if someone ruins it for you, or like ahead of time, it just doesn't hit the same way.
So
like
I want to say I was in elementary school when that movie came out, I believe.
Yeah, it came out like 96.
I remember that all of the kids in school, it's like they had already told me what happened. It's not like my mom was gonna, rent that movie from me for Blockbuster or anything.
Right.
So it's like till this day, I already know what happens, but it's a movie that I would still like to check out. The same thing with Unbreakable. I saw that. I want to say, what was the movie? What was the movie with the split personalities? Split. Yes, thank you. Split had already come out by the time I had seen Unbreakable, and when I finally
saw that ending on Split didn't hit the same way for you that it did.
Right,
you were like, why is everybody excited?
I still haven't seen Split. I've seen Unbreakable. I've seen Unbreakable, and I've seen Glass. Like it's like, because back then I didn't know that Split was a sequel until people started talking about saying like Split is a sequel to Unbreakable. But going back to my first M. Night film, it was Lady in the Water.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I remember it was this chick I was dating at the time, and
I like that
she
movie.
was into a lot of his movies, and she was like, she really wanted to see it, so we went to go see it, and I was just like, this is an M. Night film. I don't get why people trash him all the time. I thought the film was really good, but
I liked it too.
I was not a fan of Lady in the Water. I would say that was the first one that I didn't like, but I also, here's the thing. This is, you asked me before, what's the difference between what's good and what's bad with me? Okay. I'm a very subjective person, but my thing is this. I also try to think in the idea of a creator, because my first thought is this. A lot of times people think what's bad is when it didn't meet your expectations, right? And by your expectations, are we talking about what you thought the film would be or what it is? And that's always what I kind of judge by, was like, what did they actually set out to accomplish with the film? Yeah. What story were they trying to tell me, and what were they trying to do? And did they succeed at that? You know, and rather than, hey, did I get what I wanted out of this film? Like what I expected that I would want out of it. Well, you know, I mean, ultimately, there's no way for them to have known exactly what you were wanting unless they were making like a straight up fan service kind of film, which that's where you got into like a lot of your comic book movies and everything there, you know, which is like, it's a different kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? Than what, like, say, an M Night Shyamalan film is. Where he's making a movie, you shouldn't really have that many expectations out of it other than wanting to find out what the story is, because you're not invested into it the way you were invested in Captain America.
Oh already. Yeah, for sure.
You see what I mean?
So, I totally get that.
Yeah, so, you should go ahead. No. Go ahead.
So what I'm saying is that, you know, with Lady in the Water, I remember reading, because, you know, like I said, he's one of my favorites, so I do read everything that he likes to say when his movies come out. And he was talking about Lady in the Water, and he specifically said, you know, I wanted to make a movie for my kids, because he was like, because at this point in time, like, I don't really want them watching, you know, Signs, and I don't really want them watching The Sixth Sense, and all of what I'm doing, what I'm known for at this time. I don't really want them doing. I want to show them something that is still kind of creepy, still has that, you know, M Night Shyamalan feel to it, but, you know, I want to be able to something for my kids, man. And that's exactly what he did, was he made a bedtime story in cinematic form for his children. That's the story he would tell his children, was Lady in the Water. And I think in that case, that was good. But when I watched it, it wasn't what I expected it to be. So my immediate reaction on it was that it was bad. Now, personally, I still don't really, it's not my favorite story and everything there, but ultimately, hey, it can be easily seen and heard, and it looks good. It doesn't, I don't really get pulled out of the experience with it. I may not prefer the story, but there's just so much, and that's kind of thing when you make a film, there's so many different pieces to it. A lot of times when people say they don't like something, they're talking about the script. You know what I'm saying? Or maybe something particular in the direction in which they went. But ultimately, I mean, like, I find so much fault in people who will just say, like, you know, a lot of movies are just trash, but then it's like, but hold on, let's pick apart some of the stuff that's awesome there, you know, because there's some awesome stuff here. It may not all be great, you know what I mean? It may not be a home run. Yeah, you know, but I know a good play when I see one.
Tom, I just love what you're saying right now, and then you know how you just mentioned trash, and how it's like how some people just say that stuff is trash and don't look for any of the good in it. And yes, Trav, I'm looking at you.
I know he's that guy.
Yes, unfortunately.
You're not changing my opinion on Netflix's live action of Death Note. It's trash, bro. There's nothing good about it.
Ooh. The live action what for Netflix?
Death Note.
Trav is a huge.
Trav's a huge Death Note.
That's not trash. It's hot garbage.
It's actually. I didn't think that it was trash.
Of course you did.
I thought that you know, for what it was good. Like,
what does that mean?
If you were somebody that never watched Death Note the anime or read the manga, and it was just a popcorn flick, then it's for you. But I could understand why Trav would be pissed off about it, because Trav, he has L tattooed on him. Like, he's a huge Death Note fan, so I can understand why he would be pissed off. But again, like I said, if it's just, it's kind of like your casual wrestling fans. You know what I'm saying?
But you don't make that movie for people who's never heard of it.
Also, I'd say what you just described is exactly kind of the opposite of what I was talking about with Lady in the Water, because there with Travis, like you said, he's a fan of Death Note. So it's different when you're dealing with like a franchise of something that has a legion of fans already, and then now you're coming into that. Now, yes, you can use your creativity, and I do think fans are unfair with creatives in this day and age. You see what I'm saying? There's some things that you know, give everybody room to do what they need to do. Now, a perfect example for me would be because I think you guys actually enjoyed Wonder Woman 1984.
No.
Oh no, I know Banks did, right? Yeah. No, I had so many issues with Wonder Woman 1984.
It was okay. Like, it was better than the first movie. I'll say that.
It was unproportioned. It was unbalanced almost. Is my problem with it. And the runtime story just kind of drug. I mean, I don't know. I mean, that movie, I didn't get enough Cheetah. Why did I get Cheetah at an hour and 45 minutes into the movie?
I got a Prince head shake at that. No.
I'll say, like, for me,
it was just not that good. I mean, here's the problem. Here's the only thing with Wonder Woman 1984, which, here's the thing. I love the first Wonder Woman. I love the first Wonder Woman. I actually really like Patty Jenkins as a director. So
I said the same thing.
But I also know that they made a lot of changes from the first Wonder Woman to this Wonder Woman when it comes to the writing team. She actually fired, or I don't know that she fired. I won't say that because I don't know that was her decision. But I know she got added to the writing team and brought along Jeff Johns. And the guy who on the writing team before who did the story with her was Zack Snyder, Patty Jean. I don't believe it was Zack Snyder, somebody else. And then one of the guys was an actual writer on the Wonder Woman comic books. And they didn't bring him back, like, on to the writing team here. So that's where you get some dumb stuff that just happens in the movie. I'm sorry. Like, Wonder Woman and making the plane invisible was just, you know, super dumb. Just dumb. Because my thought would be this. My first thought is, all right, if you made that invisible, right, like right then, you know what would have been really helpful when you guys were trying to sneak into the White House? You see what I'm saying?
See, I feel like it's one of those things because, like, when I watched it, I really didn't look that much into it, but then it's like afterwards I started thinking about stuff, and just like when Steve Trevor came back and he was in another guy's body, and I'm just like, well, all right, well, where's that other guy at? Like, what if that guy has a family? What if he has a job and now he's missing? Like, what if his wife would have saw him with Wonder Woman, with Diana? And, you know what I'm saying?
And not only that, you got a whole consent problem with that.
Yeah,
you know, like you know, it is what it is. But my, you know, but like I said, you give a. And what I mean by that is when you love Wonder Woman. So I already love Wonder Woman. I'm already bought into that franchise, just like how Travis was already bought into Death Note and everything there. So I had all the faith in Patty Jenkins to deliver me something as awesome to me as the first Wonder Woman. I did like the first woman until the third act. I did not like the ending fight. Yeah. Right. And honestly, I can tell in Wonder Woman 1984 that Patty Jenkins put more thought into the third act. However, it feels more like her in the third act of Wonder Woman 1984 than the third act of Wonder Woman felt like.
God, please don't say that though, because I think the third act in '84 is worse than the first one.
I think it played out worse. You see what I'm saying? I think it played out worse, but I think the fact that there was a kind of a real meaty depth that she was going for, I don't think she hit it. You see what I'm saying? Because again, like, you know, so everybody like has to recant their wishes and everything like that. But, you know, what about the people who didn't make a selfish wish, you know? What about the father that wanted his son to, you know, not have cancer anymore? Or what about, you know, you see what I'm saying? People who are like in ailments and they just don't want to hurt anymore. You know what I mean? Or those different things, or something where or what about when they wish for another person? You know, these good things. Why do they have to recant their wish? Or why would they when Wonder Woman's talking, like, because she's saying, hey, you can't be selfish. And like, if I'm hearing that, I'm like, well, she doesn't mean me.
I didn't do anything. Like Maxwell's son. His wish, he just wanted his dad to be with him. Like,
exactly. Technically, he got him.
Is that why he just appeared out the bushes?
That was so weird, man. Like, I gotta be honest.
Look,
like,
this is just a movie that
how did this
honestly
kid
you're just not
survive
supposed to
all-
ask questions, though. You
right?
just don't ask questions, and you watch it mindlessly. And I
That's
hate
true.
that. I hate.
And
that.
I agree. I agree. I don't like that either. But you know, I mean,
so Tom,
some people really like it. So it's not the worst movie. I don't want to crap all over Wonder Woman 1984. It's not the worst movie I've seen.
Yeah,
it's just my least favorite of the DC movies at this point in time. Right above, it's.
I'll say that.
Yeah, it is. It's probably my least favorite.
I'll say because there were 2 other movies that came out on Christmas Day. One of them I still haven't even seen. The Shark Boy and Lava Girl movie. I didn't check that out.
Yeah.
But Soul came out on Christmas Day as well. And after putting both of those movies back to back, Soul was a way more better movie. I gave that movie a 10 out of 10 compared to Wonder Woman.
I haven't seen Soul. My kids have watched both of those.
Yeah,
my kids have watched all 3 of these movies. They would be much better to give you a good review on all of them. But they're also like really easy going with it. They just like everything.
Yeah,
like Banks.
Yeah. I mean,
I like
get them, Trav.
Sometimes you are entertained. They're
you're easily satisfied.
Easily satisfied.
I wish I was.
Those people are happier, Travis.
Yeah,
I know. That's why I'm happy all the time. It's like me and Trav are like yin and yang. It's like I'm happy and Trav is always negative,
always grumpy because
grumpy, mad.
You're cursed with knowledge, Travis.
I'm sulking in my misery, and I want you to get wet too.
There you go.
Trav, I wanted to go back though. Can y'all hear me?
Yeah. You went out again, but we can hear you.
What the?
You're here.
All right. So, anyways, I wanted to go back to the movie that Banks ruined, which I will cut out. We won't use that.
Yeah, thank you.
But in all fairness, I would have ruined it too.
I figured I didn't give you guys I knew with the cartoon he had to put in a password to get it, so I assumed he already assumed, hey, don't just show this to anybody. But in remembrance, I sent him a private Vimeo link, but it was just the link. I should have passworded up everything so he'd just get that off the top. That's my fault.
Yeah, I thought you were selling it. So here's the password to get to it, and for people you're showing off to. But
no. Those ones I just hadn't released openly and with everything. So
I can at least say I didn't see the ending coming, right? I
didn't see it either.
I can leave it at that.
I didn't see it either.
Yeah. I didn't see that coming, and the song selection choice at the end. I love that piece.
Good.
Well, that's the jam.
What we can do. We can just go back and I'll just talk about Remembrance, but without giving any spoilers.
I'm not, because I want to cut that part out and still have Tom be like, though you ruined it, and so people know that you ruined it, but they don't hear the ending.
Okay. All right.
Look,
cool.
I'm gonna make you the villain in this episode.
Oh God! So you're gonna poison me?
I'm gonna poison you.
Oh,
I'll take it. I'm good.
But yeah, I wanted to bring up, because we were talking about directors, who are some of your other favorite directors other than Mr. M Night Shyamalan?
I love M Night Shyamalan. I really like different directors for different reasons. My absolute favorite one is Christopher Nolan. I'm one of those guys.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
we won't talk. You don't want to talk about Tenet?
I would love to talk about Tenet. It's interesting because I think Tenet is a very interesting film, because I think it's one where I told somebody it's the most stereotypical Christopher Nolan film that Christopher Nolan could ever make.
It's so true. I know you didn't care too much for it. I loved it, dude. So good.
I at first I was like, okay, so here's the thing. I think that if I watched Tenet in theaters, definitely if I watched it in theaters during the pandemic, I would have been pissed. Okay. I'm just going to be honest. I would have been really, really pissed, just because, one, I hear a lot of people had a lot of audio issues. I didn't have a lot of audio issues. There were certain points where I thought it was, kind of iffy, but it's Christopher Nolan. So, I'm not going to joke. I'm not going to talk about Christopher Nolan's audio. I got my own problems. But I will say that the benefit of subtitles you know, for watching it at home and streaming it, like, kind of helped anyway, because, you know, the time my wife and I weren't getting a chance to watch this until like after we put the kids in bed anyway.
Yeah.
So, you know, we were already going to utilize the subtitles, so it wasn't really a big deal. And then the fact that I had purchased the film and was able to go back and just rewatch it and you know, take a break when I was like, all right, look, this is, because there was one point where we were watching it and it was getting late, and I was like, I still got 2 hours left.
Yeah, it does feel like it's runtime. I'll give you that. It feels like it's runtime for sure.
Right, yeah, for sure. But, you know, I think I benefited from being able to stop and go back and restart and then watch it again, because, like, after I finished it, I was like, yeah, I'm going to watch that again tomorrow. I need to watch it again, like, and see what happened. And it was kind of interesting because, kind of like Wonder Woman 1984, I always think that movies, you really find out if a movie really was good on how much time you spend thinking about it and how you feel about it days after you've seen it. All right. Because you could feel one way about it right when it's over. Like, if it gave you a really good twist right at the end, then yeah, it probably feels awesome right there in the moment. But when you get time to really think about it later, and then you kind of put the logic to it and you're trying to make it work, you think about what you were told by the filmmakers, you think about what the filmmakers were trying to do. Did they actually accomplish that? Or did they just, you know, wow you at the end with or did you just wrap up a really good ending? Sometimes, you know, it's kind of like again, I love professional wrestling, so I always go back to professional wrestling, but, you know, finish strong. You know what I'm saying? You know, if you have a really great ending to that match, but then the middle of it kind of sucks, but you were able to save them by the end, right, and bring them in with a finish that everybody enjoyed, that's how they're going to remember the match. You see what I'm saying? Same thing with a movie. If you gave them a really good third act and you told a story that made sense, there's a lot of films. There's a lot of films that probably make it on that alone, right?
Well, Tom, for you, with you speaking of how things end, you're a huge Night fan, and I guess I kind of am too. I like a lot of his movies. The ending of the trilogy for Unbreakable with Glass, how did you feel about the ending of Glass? Did you like the way they wrapped it up with the hint of more?
Oh man,
disappointing.
No, so the end of Glass is one of those things where it's kind of where I tell you, M. Night's going to be M. Night, man. You know, I appreciate Glass because he was like, I'm funding my own movie so I can make it any way I want. And in my ending, the movie you think you're only going to get that for the first 30 minutes. Then I'm going to give you something else that explores superheroes. By the end of it, I'm going to make you think you're going to get this really great superhero ending, but instead, swerve, you know, because it's an M. Night Shyamalan movie, and that's what he does. I thought that the ending of Glass kind of, on first viewing, sucked, right? Like, when I walked out of there at the end, I was like, that sucked. I was like, I really wish that it just, like, not the whole thing, just that ending. I really wish the ending had been something different. Like, and don't even get me wrong, I loved the whole thing with the secret society, all that stuff. Yeah, I loved that. Like, because my thing that I was telling a friend of mine who was there watching it with me. I told him, I was like, the thing I love about that is so comic booky. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? It was for me, it was M. Night Shyamalan sneaking in a real live version of The Court of Owls. Right, yeah. You see what I'm saying? So something like that. So I thought, that's awesome. I did not like the execution. Like, that's pretty much it. Yeah. Like, the execution of all of that was the part I didn't like. And I was just like, because, you know, the one thing that people really appreciate if you swerve them at the end are breadcrumbs.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Because if you can show them things that they, you know, if they're perceptive enough to look at in the moment, they may go, what's up with that? You know what I mean? Like, what's up with that? You know, what's going on there? And don't get me wrong, there are some things, and so I think it's unfair to say there are no breadcrumbs in Glass. They're there. They're just so subtle. Yeah. You know? And I think that because you can miss them, because I was looking for something, you know. And the thing is, in other M. Night Shyamalan films, sometimes the twist is so obvious that you like figure it out at this certain point. You know what I mean? Where it feels obvious and everything there. But my whole thing with Glass was I didn't catch on to that particular thing, so it felt kind of like out of the moment. But I mean, other people probably caught on to it before I did, so maybe they felt differently about it. But for me, my taste, I felt that it just, there just wasn't enough breadcrumbs there. But when I rewatched it, because here's the thing, I have watched Glass more than I've seen Split, and I really loved Split. I haven't seen it more than Unbreakable yet, just because of longevity, but it's probably it might get there, who knows, right? Yeah. But it was one of the first things I watched once I got HBO Max. I watched Glass, and then the weirdest thing is just I revisited it 2 weeks ago because I was in a group chat on PlayStation Network, and someone brought it up because somehow we came up with M Night Shyamalan, and then we talked about Glass there, and I was like, I'm gonna rewatch that, and then I watched it again, and there are, like I said, there are breadcrumbs that are there, but even the ones that are there, I don't think that anybody that was watching it the first time would have ever picked up on. Yeah. And I think those are the best ones where you show people to that point where if they're watching, it would kind of break them out for the moment to go, wait, something's not right here. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or something's off.
All right. So, Tom, I love how you keep on bringing up the wrestling talk and dropping the wrestling terms and whatnot. And one of the films that you did was The Circuit. So with you being a wrestling fan, was this like, a big project that you always wanted to do, that you pictured yourself wanting to do this, or did, something just fall into your hand where it's just like, hey, there's local wrestling here in the area. I'm going to talk with somebody and see if I can do this.
It was closer to the latter. What it was I had, again, I was coming out of a sabbatical because I had my son and everything there. And at the time I was trying to figure out, I was doing some video for SPW at that time, because they didn't have a video guy, and I just kind of wanted to, I all of a sudden I just had this urge to just like learn how to wrestle. You know what I'm saying? Like, it was weird. I didn't want to actually be a wrestler. Like, that was never a thing I wanted to do. I was like, I just want to know how they do it, man. Just teach me how y'all do it. like that was it. I just want to know the little bits and the craft and this and that. I don't want to know. I don't want to know everything, but just enough to, when you watch people play chess, it's more interesting if you know how it's played. Right. Yeah. So that was pretty much it. And because I've just had a fondness for wrestling. It's interesting because when I was really young, I didn't get into it when I was a kid. I didn't get it. Well, I mean, I was a kid, but it wasn't until like middle school. You see what I'm saying? Middle school, 6th grade, stuff like that. So by the time Hulk Hogan, I got around, Hulk Hogan was already a bad guy. And, I'd missed the whole vitamins and the prayers and everything. So I've never liked the guy. Never really liked the guy. It was interesting with the circuit. It just ended up being this thing that where I was working with SPW because I was training there. And the owner and I had this quick little trade-off where I did a little video for him. I didn't have to pay for my classes, that kind of thing. So that's what I did for a little bit there. I shot something they did at this, 2 different things they did at the Scope. Shot 2 different videos for that.
Uprising 2?
Yes.
You want to know what's
I shot both of them.
You know what's crazy about that is Uprising 2 was the first indie show that I went to, and that was the one that Rikishi was at, and it was like at that moment I was just like, man, like I can become a professional wrestler.
You can become a professional,
Rikishi did it for you?
That's the origin story of Benjamin.
That's it.
I was there. Yeah, you were there.
I was there. I'm part of the prequel. I get to have one of those little prequel moments where you just see me in the crowd or something.
So you're saying that you saw Rikishi's ass and you said, I want to do that.
Okay. Yeah, pretty much. That's what he did. Yeah, no, but it was, and that was a fun little experience. But then once I was done with all of that, it was crazy because I had gotten to, you know, work on a wrestling TV show, which was kind of like, you know, check that off the bucket list, you know what I'm saying, for things I got to do. And I was just sitting there, and then all of a sudden I was like, you know, I want to get back into it. I want to make something. And I thought about just making a quick, the idea I had was some kind of quick web series or something there. And it was right after I'd finished The Poet and put that out, you know. So I was like, well, what's something that I have? Because I wanted to have something different that was kind of more unique to me. And I was like, what's something that I've got access to that not all the other filmmakers I know around here have access to? And I was like, I could probably get access to a wrestling ring and everything, you know, if I talk to the right people and, you know, make the right promises and, you know, do all of that. I could probably get in contact with some people. Because at that time, at point in time, that's when I had met Chris Schrader. And, you know, at that point in time, he was Zach Hilton, and he was wrestling for NWA Fusion and everything there. And, you know, we kind of talked to everybody, and that's how I met Brandon Day, who was another one of the other lead wrestler in the circuit. Yep. And yeah, that's it. It just kind of spawned out of all of the tangible things that I had access at my disposal at that point in time. And I went with actually working with wrestlers because wrestlers are just really athletic actors. You know, I mean, they're actors. They already are doing promos and everything there. And that was kind of my thing when I was going over with Brandon, because the first thing we shot with him, or one of the first things we shot with him, was actually a promo that he did that was in the first episode. Yeah. And he was like, well, what do you want me to do? I was like, do a wrestling promo. I was like, just do what you do, you know? Mm-hmm. And I said, because it would be much easier. I remember telling Chris, I said, it would be much easier for me to get you and other wrestlers and everything to do this than it would be for me to teach actors how to wrestle. Right. You know, I said, I agree with you on that's never gonna work. I was like, the wrestlers already act as it is, you know what I'm saying? They've got to pretend they hate each other and all that different stuff, you know, and work their gimmicks and everything. So that was it. And you know, I think they did a fantastic job. You know, there were some limitations and everything to the circuit that just I didn't have you know, we didn't have a crowd for everything. So what we ended up doing was trying to go for something kind of more avant-garde, kind of, you know, where it felt kind of like wrestling in the mind and different stuff there. It was, you know, it was kind of this thing where we tried to tie in what was going on with this character with what was going on in the ring at the same time. While I also was stealing from the best thing about it was I was just stealing storylines from wrestling that I loved. Everything there, you know, the whole idea of him stealing his tag team partner's, you know, wife and everything there, and his spawn form and everything was, you know, that was kind of at the time when I was younger. I remember when, you know, Lita left Matt Hardy for Edge, and it was like this big thing, and you know, and then this whole idea that the guy left the company and then, you know, he came back. That was kind of like the whole CM Punk thing. And it was, you know, there was a whole bunch of different stuff that it was like, you know, I'll just tap into the wrestling that I like and then find a way to, you know, kind of weave it into these, you know, this group of characters that I came up with, you know. Yeah. And, you know, circuit, though, I really did enjoy the circuit. We actually, at one point, we actually had an acquisition officer or acquisition agent from WWE Studios request nice. My feature, well, not my feature script, but my full-length script and everything for it, and they passed on it, you know, because it really didn't fit their brand anyway.
That's what I was. I was about to say that because it's like at this time point, you know, WWE, they were pretty. PG hard.
Oh yeah, really hard PG at that time. So it was, you know, so it was kind of a long shot, but it was nice to get the, you know, nice to be pat on the back to say that,
like the rub elbows.
That was pretty much it. That was cool, you know. But no, I enjoyed the circuit. The circuit was really fun. I was really second season for the circuit there, because we actually shot a full second season. But we had this thing go down where I my girlfriend at the time, I had borrowed one of her hard drives to kind of put all my footage and everything on. And what I didn't know was at the time was that the hard drive was not formatted for my Mac and everything there.
Oh yeah.
So I put all of this footage on there and started trying to edit from it. And if you've actually had a Mac and dealt with like an unformatted hard drive issue before, you know that like that Mac tries so hard to read that hard drive and work with that it really screws stuff up. And ultimately, because I ended up having to take my my computer in to get it fixed and everything, and then figured out what the problem was, you know, bringing in the hard drive. But for whatever reason, when we actually went to pull the footage and pull what we had and everything there, so much of it was missing on the transfer and was unusable now. So I was only able to have the first episode and everything there of it, but it was fine. By that point, we just had so many different other things, you know. One thing is always the case is that you have so many different projects going that, you know, so something pulls you elsewhere.
So do you think that you would ever pick the circuit back up?
Oh man, I don't know. If I had the opportunity, everything would kind of have to fall into place to the circuit again.
This dude's trying to get a role. Look at him. He's trying to get a feature.
I'll try to get me a riff up in there to go to Pinky Society.
There's always a motive.
Try to sniff that out.
But if you think about it, though, if Tom would have, you know, went with what was going on at SPW and talked with some of the wrestlers over there, you know, you could have seen a young Benjamin Banks in the circuit
with the tassels,
with my basketball shorts and the t-shirt.
You know, it's interesting because I always think to myself, I would love to come back to the circuit. I've got so many different versions and ideas of what I wanted to do with it. But you know, that's one of those ones where I think if I made it and I had like a, you know, just needed to pitch a really interesting project out of, you know, pull one out of my hat, the circuit's a good one to be able to throw down on the table.
Okay.
So
Trav?
So yeah, honestly, I've really never seen too many short films. Like I know D brought up, it's kind of like Are You Afraid of the Dark, Goosebumps. It's real, just 30-minute short story.
That's essentially it, man. Yeah.
But I never seen it as an adult with like, you know what I mean? It's a different feel for it. And man, you know, you kind of got me hooked on wanting to check out some more stuff. I'm probably going to ask you to send me, you know, some more people that do it.
Because you'll be surprised how many. There's a lot of great like big time filmmakers that still make short films.
Right.
If you look up Pony Smasher on YouTube or Vimeo, I sent you on Vimeo. That's actually David F. Sandberg, who did Shazam and Annabelle Creation and all that there. And interesting thing is because I watched I became a fan of him online before he ever made it big with a short film of his that got turned into a film, which was Lights Out.
Right.
Yep.
And it was first a short film, and it was just such a simple and great short film. Again, like I said, it's just something about being able to tell this a story that captivates people for, you know, that can actually hold their attention for 7 to 10 minutes. You know, solid time for them to want to know how this little story ends. You know what I mean? And knowing that it will happen soon. That's, you know, you get a payoff that you don't need to commit an hour and a half of your life to. You know what I mean? So, but no, David F. Sandberg with Pony Smasher. He's a really good one. There's one short film that he just put out about. It's funny because I remember actually Travis and Banks. I shared this short film with one that he recently did with Mercedes, and I like sent it to her at like midnight or whatever, and like scared the crap out of her. Yeah, but no, yeah. So you know, definitely, yeah, man, hit me up. I'll show you. I'd love to share I love to share the short films and stuff that I find and that I enjoy, and that some stuff that just people send to me. Your friends, your other colleagues, and everything. They either send their stuff to you because they want you to watch and see their stuff. Which the weird thing is this: people probably think I don't look at their stuff, but I watch everything they send me. Eventually.
Yeah.
Yep.
But yeah, no, I know Banks was talking about like the cartoon pissed him off. At the end, and we could talk about this ending, yeah?
No, we can't.
We can.
The cartoon neither? Okay.
We can talk about the cartoon. We can talk about the cartoon.
You're positive.
It's not as, because with remembrance, it just, I need that, there's a certain thing I'm trying to do there and I need that surprise.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, The Sixth Sense. If you already know, it's just
right.
A different film.
Well, for me, I wasn't even going to talk about the ending of the cartoon. I was just more talk about the feeling I got out of it. The message.
We can talk about it. Yeah, we can talk about the cartoon.
Want to talk about, because man, that one, it wasn't my favorite one to watch. Like I said, Remembrance was, but it was the most thought provoking that I had, because after I got done, I really thought about like how far is too far for certain things. When did she go too far? Did she really need to go that far in order to, save herself? Or do we have this weird thing now? Because a lot of the stuff is like, cops don't do anything until it's too late anyways. That being the kind of gimmick, well, you can't put a restraining order on them until they actually physically hurt you. Well, what good does that do me? They've already hurt me. Right. I got that kind of premise from it too, where it's like, where do we draw the line for the justification of crossing that line? And I don't even know how to word it or whatever, but that was probably the most thought-provoking one for me. And it's a question that gets asked all the time. Like, it's not like I haven't seen it before, or anything like that. But
right.
I don't know. It just got me kind of thinking, like,
that's
who's in the
crazy,
wrong
Trav.
in this situation? Are they both? I don't know, man.
It's crazy, because it's like me and you, we both have two different opinions about that, and I feel that the reason why is because I am a black man, and I had told Tom that seeing this is like stuff that we see in the news, where it's like a white woman or a white man, somebody white, they'll kill or they'll call the cops on somebody black, and the black person's pretty much screwed. You know what I'm saying? They either go to jail or they die, and like they didn't do anything wrong.
Well, I also don't want to misconstrue the movie. That has nothing to do with this. Like, for people listening.
Yeah, but
but it's like it's like I said, it's like you see stuff like this all the time, and when I had watched it, I was pissed off because it's like she pretty much got away with murder. They interviewed her and everything, and
Were we supposed to not tell the ending, bro? And then here we go.
No, it's fine.
He said we could.
It's fine. We can talk away. We can talk about the cartoon.
Yeah, he said we could.
I'm trying to
be when you got to talk about it.
I'm trying to look out for my boy Tom and be vague.
I appreciate that, Travis. But this time, this one we can talk about.
Bro, he said it. That's why I did this, because I was just like, oh, we can talk about it. But yeah, it's like she got away with murder, and I had brought up how a few weeks ago we had the situation where the woman was saying that the 14-year-old he stole her phone, and because his dad was there,
right.
It wasn't an adult's word against a teenager, but imagine if his dad wasn't there and that boy ended up getting locked up. You know what I'm saying? Like, she pretty much, because of the color of his skin, she said, yeah, this kid stole my phone, which he didn't, because it ended up being dropped off by the Uber driver later on. And just me being a black man, it's like I see stuff like this. I hear stories about this all the time. And like, that's the reason why I was pissed off, because you see stories like this where people get away and justice isn't served. I mean, like, you still have cases now, like when you look at Breonna Taylor, where it's like she was murdered and nothing was done about it. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying she jumped the gun in this movie?
She did.
She did.
She did. I mean, but I understand. I mean, she had been getting threats because of the comic that she came out with, and it's like this dude he was just waiting for. He was kind of being weird and whatnot. So I can understand. It was late at night too, so I can understand why she would be paranoid and why.
Yeah, there's so many variables.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying. So
I feel like Tom doesn't even have an answer to it. You know what I mean? It's not. There's not an answer to this. You know what I mean? It's to engage discussion and thinking.
I think. Well, the whole point of Bad Things, Good People,
right,
was a situation where I wanted to tell a couple of stories where in each one I tackle something, a personal observation with society, okay, and people, and just people. We deal with it deals with our self-righteousness, and kind of the way people love to be the hero and always feel that we're always the good person in every situation that we do, even if we lack full perspective of the situation. And so with the cartoon is kind of my most, I wanted to kind of approach it like a political cartoon, where it's something that I gave you all of the details of the situation. There's several things that's there that's in there, and then there's my perception of it, but then the idea is that everybody could get something else out of it. Right. It's interesting because with Bad Things, Good People, I was coming out of doing A Cure for Loneliness, and in A Cure for Loneliness, I thought I was pretty clear that my lead character was a bad guy.
Right.
Right. By the time we got to the end, I felt that he was a bad guy.
He's the anti-hero.
Exactly. But then I started to, when it started to go to festivals, and I started attending festivals, and I started talking to people who would watch it, and they would talk to me, and and there was one guy, I remember I screened it actually at the Generic Theater. This was before it actually went out to festival. I got to screen it at the Generic Theater, kind of just, test audience kind of thing, right? And this guy came to me and he was like, man, he's like, I really loved your film. And I was like, well, thank you. Yeah, appreciating, the usual kudos and everything there. And then he says, it was like, it's just amazing that guy went through all of that, all of that just to bring people together and everything, it's crazy how you have to, what was he said, you have to, the sacrifices that had to be made to get to a better place or something there. And I was kind of like, and kind of really laying it on thick that he felt that, the guy was a good guy.
Right, yeah.
And I was like, he's got a, and like you said, anti-hero is a good way to put it, because there's a noble cause that he wants to do there, but quite obviously the way he goes about it is
right.
You
Thanos
horrible. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Man, it's horrible. So with Bad Things, Good People, however, I really took that interaction and those interactions, because like I said, I got a lot of things kind of like that on Cure for Loneliness, and I really wanted to make a couple of films, and in particularly with the cartoon, where I didn't put a fine stamp on it, where I told you who the bad guy was in this situation. I wanted you to watch the story, meet the characters, see what they do, how everything plays out. And then the understanding is that, different audience members will have different feelings on different characters for different ways. And if you look at the trailer for Bad Things, Good People, I call it a social thriller anthology. And it is a social, that's exactly it. So, of course, I mean for Banks to get something different out of it than Travis should get out of it, because I expect it to hit him differently, because I expect there to be certain social cues that Banks is going to see, you know what I'm saying, because of the life that he lives and the skin he walks in, that Travis won't pick up on necessarily, where the situation may come a lot more philosophical to him and everything, because he's just, the life he lives is a different walk. It's just a different walk, and so and that's kind of it. That's what I wanted, but yeah, there's yeah, that's it. That's the cartoon. It's like, I tried to leave that one somewhat ambiguous, but I personally feel from my lens, I do feel that there is a definitive stamp that I put on the cartoon that tells you where my personal perspective is at. But, yeah, I think you're both right. Ultimately, you're both right on this. Banks got what he was supposed to get out of it. Like he told me when he texted me and told me, he was like, "Yeah, man, it made me angry." I was like, good. I told him, I said, it pisses me off too, and I cut it together. I knew how it was going to go. It just it does, but it was meant to hit you in a different way than necessarily it hit Travis.
Yeah. D.
Yep. Now, I was just going to say that some films are meant to get the ball rolling, if you would, get you thinking. And it is. Some things are going to, play better off of different people for different reasons, like you were saying, because we all walk different walks of life. Yeah, everybody's going to interpret it their own way. Mm-hmm. So, yeah.
Yeah. Did you have another question?
I don't know. My brain's kind of, because I just feel like this could lead to when you start going down the rabbit hole, you know what I mean? So now I'm taken out of that and put into that, and I'm just like,
yeah. Well, I mean, to everybody that's watching and listening, I would definitely recommend it when it's available because I mean, it's very thought provoking, and I always love films where it's like everybody's going to have a different take on it. Like I remember, I believe the film was called Detroit, and I was dating a girl at the time. She was white, and that movie, it hit different. You know what I'm saying? And it pissed me off when I was watching it. It made her sad when she was watching it, and she was just like, "Wow, I can't believe that that's based off of a true story, that the cops got away with it and whatnot." And I was just like, yo, that still happens today. You know what I'm saying? It's just that it's not as racist as it was back then. While there still is racism here, it's just, it still happens. You know what I'm saying? And it was cool that I took her with me and she saw that, and she formed an opinion and was just like, man, something needs to be done. And I feel like when people watch this, it's like, it would be the same thing. It's just like, well, wow, it's messed up. She got away with it. But then Trav, I mean, who had his opinion, it's going to be different than the next person. So,
well, I don't necessarily think that the man should have been murdered neither. That's what I mean.
Yeah.
When it's going too far.
Yeah. I get it, but it's too, she pulled the gun on him. You know what I'm saying? It's like he wasn't a threat, but again, like I said earlier, I can understand why she thought that, he was going to do something. And all he had was a picture. That's all he had. And she made up this lie that, oh yeah, he was reaching for something. And we were screaming because you hear that in the phone call. She lies and says that he was doing something that he wasn't. You know what I'm saying? And it just goes back to what I was saying when I told Tom this as well, about how, certain things don't get recorded, and, people, they get killed. You see all the time where it's some cops, it's they turn their body cams off, and it's just it's his word against theirs because we didn't see anything. And in this situation, it's there was no cameras around, there were no security cameras recording, so it's she could tell the cop whatever, and the cop just has to take her word for it. And it's messed up because stuff like that still happens today, where it's you just take my word for it. That's why black people always record stuff now, because if they don't record, then it's it's their word against mine.
For the World Star, baby.
Yeah. That's right.
And I just want to add on that too, that in my 8th grade class, my whatever government class, my teacher had a brother-in-law that was a cop, family friend something, came in and spoke to the class and told the class that if anybody was to break into your house, that if you shoot them, you shoot to kill, because it's your word against theirs. So going to what you said, it was her word against nobody's because she shot to kill.
Correct.
But
that doesn't make it right though.
Turn things around. To turn things around and put it on a little bit of a lighter note, I wanted to bring up the series. Where are my notes at? Dating, but like really fast.
Real quick before I get on that, I do just want to tell you and Travis, that in the cartoon when she calls the 911 dispatcher, that's Mercedes.
Oh wow!
Really? Yeah. I figured Travis would pick up on it because
No.
Yeah.
How did she not even mention that? Hey, I'm going to be in a film.
Because it's not supposed to be. Nobody's supposed to know about it yet.
Mercedes is cool because since she and I, the funny thing about her is we actually met for the first time on the set for Cure for Loneliness. Because when he was riding around in the subway, she's actually in the background, like over his head, because I needed extras.
Oh wow!
And so that was the first time. And we had been Facebook friends all this time, and it was just like the first time we met was when she came out and did that for us, and then we just talked and we just hit it off, man. Cool thing though is she, she's just really supportive. She's seen all of these already, of course, And then it was cool because I just needed something really quick, and I was just like, "Hey, Mercedes, say this," because I knew she had all this recording equipment because she was doing music and everything, and so I was like, "Hey, just like send me a recording of you saying this," and she did. She sent it back, and we just popped her in there, which was cool because then when she saw it, she said that one was her favorite one, so. That worked out.
Nice. Shout out to Mercedes, aka Lost Boy.
Yes, heard that.
But so like I was saying about with the issue series that you had, like I started with dating, but like really fast, and that was the season 2 episode 1 of that series, and I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna watch season 1 and whatnot, but I love the story that was being told where it's just like you just have this average Joe guy and he has anger issues, and the entire time I was watching it, was like I was laughing, like I felt sad for him because he wanted to talk to the girl, and she pretty much was like, "I'm not attractive to you" and whatnot. And then he goes on the speed dating thing, and he meets the girl of his dreams. She's a nerd. It's like, how many times do we? I don't know. I kind of felt like he was gatekeeping in a way, where he was asking her the questions and whatnot. Because, you do get those situations where it's just like, "Oh, you're a girl. You know what Dragon Ball Z is? Well, what's this?" But I would love to see more of it. I thought it was funny. I thought out of everything that I watched, like this was meant to laugh. Feel good moments, stuff like that, because everything else, like, it was very thought provoking, and I was just like, man,
Yeah, see, that was because Issues, I don't do a lot of comedy. I'm not a comedy person. I don't think I'm funny, so I can't really, I can't really get across, I can't write comedy. That actually, Dating But Really Fast was one of the first, I think that was the first time I directed comedy, because I know that's the one of 2 episodes that I directed for Issues. Issues, I'll be honest, Issues is just a sore subject. Because I thought we had some really great stuff with Issues. I thought it was a fantastic project. Long story short, the guy who was the creator and I, we just could never really see. We stopped seeing eye to eye in season 1, early on in season 1, and then just things started. You know how you just get opportunities that fall into place.
Yeah.
So then everybody sucks it up so that we can,
All right.
All right. Well, okay. All right. It's kind of like starting. It was kind of like having a band, and then. Right when the band's deciding maybe we should break up, like you get this this indie label's like, "I want to sign you guys," and you're like, let's get signed. You know what I'm saying? Let's do that thing. And then and you try to, and that was it. I think Issues was a marriage that I held on to longer than I needed to, and I think we ultimately, creatively, we made some really great stuff. And but
yeah, spill that tea, Tom.
Say what?
I said spill that tea.
No, I'm just I'm leaving it there. I don't want to. Yeah, no, I don't want to get into it. I don't want to get into it beyond that, because I really did enjoy. I loved everybody that I worked with on issues, because honestly, we had a fantastic team. We had a fantastic team. We had a fantastic crew. I think they wrote some really great scripts. I think Matt, the creator, I think he had a fantastic idea. I still think he has a fantastic idea.
Yeah.
And I think he created some great characters in there that ultimately everybody, including that cast that we had, really fleshed out into some, some characters that everybody could, I think, had some legs. And I think it was a good project to work on. It was really fun. It was legitimately funny. I quote issues to myself and like out loud to like other people, and they're like, "What the hell are you talking about?" And I'm like, "Oh, that's right. You don't, you don't know. You weren't there, But yeah, but no, I did. I loved issues. It was a very funny project, and I loved Dating But Really Fast. Really was one of the. It's funny because out of all the things that I've done with issues, that one came together the easiest. So it just kind of fell in place. I loved when we did the speed dating thing. I was like, I wanted to be like, you're coming in for an interrogation. So then you just got this swinging light back and forth, and it's dark all around everybody, and it's just like this quick little interrogation and everything until, he's there in front of Zeke Banks' character, and the two of them, they actually hit it off. So you have some decent lighting and everything there, little stuff like that. It was cool. But my favorite thing out of that was an actress, Amy DeSantis, who I only met that day, but she played the crazy lady who wanted the knives, or she had knives or whatever.
Yeah.
She was hilarious. She was great. But yeah, like I said, Issues was a fantastic crew, great group and everything there. I wish we had gone the distance.
So another thing that you did was We Couldn't Be Any Happier.
Oh man,
now that one,
I love that one.
Just watching it, and you have this couple, they're acting, and they keep on messing up the lines. The gentleman in particular, he keeps messing up his lines, and then we find out that they're a real couple, and there's an issue between them and whatnot, and she just wants him to make his own decisions, and he can't. And to see him just fake it in this commercial, like, I would do anything for her to be with her, where we know in real life, like, he wouldn't do that. It was hard. It was hard. I mean, because you just see that, and it's just like, man, it's like, how can you act so good, but in real life, it's like you suck. Like, that's how I took it.
That's most people, right?
Yeah.
D, how'd you feel about it?
I mean, that isn't one that I got to, Banks, but I mean, I can relate to it. People fake their way through a lot of things, job interviews and all types of stuff. So it sounds very relatable.
That's what I was saying. That's most people.
Yeah, I was about to say, you hit the nail on the Trav.
With We Couldn't Be Any Happier, I actually did not direct that. I was a producer for that. I'm credited as a co-director, but I keep giving it's my my cinematographer and partner on pretty much every creative thing I do now, Sergio Lorenzano. Sergio is the most amazing cinematographer. I blowed him up a lot, gassed him right on up, and but he's fantastic. He really is. And after we had finished Cure for Loneliness, and it was actually right before we went into production for Bad Things, Good People, he had wanted to do a short film, and he had just had this idea and it was built off of some camera tests and some videos that he had seen on Vimeo, that some acting exercises, quite honestly. And so he just had this idea where he was like, all right, so here's what I want the characters, and I want them to actually be in a couple, but we're like shooting a commercial, and then they like break up before the commercial's over, like for real, but in the commercial. and while it's happening. And I was just like, cool. So he and I kind of brainstormed back and forth on it. And what I said, the one thing that I will say I did bring to it was, I was like, it should be improv, because at the time he had a little bit of a script, right? That was written out there. So, something with bare bones, just so we knew what everything was. Like, we didn't even have a title yet. I don't think he gave it a title until like, I think he was finished off the editing bay. Like, he was done with it when he was like, all right, let's title it. Prior to that, I think we called it like Shoot Your Shot or something simple, because Shoot Your Shot. I don't know. Anyway, but it was but I was like, well, let's do improv. Let's have them improv the lines rather than actually get someone to write it out, because my thing would be, we want it to be quick, we want it to be simple, and I was like, in the amount of time that we're trying to do this, I doubt we can write a script that will be that'll hit the emotional beats we want it to hit. So let's just get some improv actors, you know what I'm saying, that are already good at it. And what we actually did was, Nick and Noelle actually are dating each other.
I was about to say, I wouldn't be shocked if it was a real life couple.
Yes, they were a real life couple, and they're both improv actors. And so it just kind of fell into place, all the little things that I wanted,
Yeah.
And so I was, we put that together, and Sergio, set everything up, shot it, and and like I said, he directed that piece. That was his. We couldn't be any happier. Wouldn't have happened without him having that idea to want to do it, and I just helped him, kind of push him along, because at that point he was saying it was something he hadn't done yet. And I was just like, well, how long do you think it'd take him to do it? He was like, well, I could probably shoot the bulk of it in like a day. I said, well, boom, let's do it. And we just put it together, man. It came together. And again, that was another one where I actually met my, I didn't meet my AD, but that was the first time that she had actually been on one of my sets and everything. It was cool, because there was one point, here's the thing with We Couldn't Be Any Happier that was pretty cool and kind of meta, was that you had to have a crew shooting, and then you actually had the crew that was shooting the crew that was shooting, right? And so for me, it was kind of this thing where I was trying to get, like, at that point I had a lot of my new crew, so I wanted to have like my new crew shooting my old crew kind of thing. And so, which in a way we kind of got some of that in there, but it was great, because it just kind of came together. It was they put in some fantastic performances. I love Noelle. Obviously she was in the cartoon, did a fantastic job in the cartoon. Yeah. I'm working with her now on a feature film we're working on, Obscura. That's doing, and she's fantastic in that. So I love Noelle Peters, fantastic actress, and I really love Nick Neward. He was, obviously with them being in a relationship and everything, they were able to play off each other so well, and work off each other's emotional beats. And I'm really happy with the performances they gave us.
Yeah, I really liked that one. I never noticed how much I loved awkward, heartfelt, real, uncomfortable conversations until I saw the movie with Scarlett Johansson and the dude that plays Kylo Ren.
Marriage
Story.
Yeah.
Because that movie's a lot like, that little piece where a lot of it's just a back and forth argument between the two characters, and their hard conversations, their difficult conversations, and they make you feel awkward too, because if you were to see it in public, you're like, that's messy.
Well, my thing is like, remember he was like, this isn't being recorded, right? Like,
right, yeah.
But then it's like, it's
being recorded.
Right? Yeah, it's being recorded the entire time, and I'm just like, man, it's like, can you imagine like actually going back and like watching that, like if like the actors like in that world, just watching that, just like, damn, like
seeing how nasty you can be.
Yeah, right. It's like, this guy's a dick.
It's like, who's that? I hate that guy. Who's that guy?
Yeah.
But it's somewhat justified too, because
she wanted him to, just pick up and
that was kind of the thing. We because it was improv, we had to give them a storyline to work off of, and the way I told them, again, wrestling, I told them, look, it's going to be like a wrestling promo. You're going to know how you need to start it, you're going to need to know how you need to end it, and you need to promote the the thing in the middle. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, it's here are your beats. Make sure you hit these beats. You know what I mean? And we just talked with them while they were putting on makeup that day. And we're just kind of pulling it out of them, like, you know, okay, so what are they fighting about? You know, and the four of us, you know, me, Sergio, Noel, and Nick, we sat there and we kind of talked it out, and then we got to this whole thing where we said, well, if they're both actors, what's something that would, you know, suck with a relationship when you're with an actor? One of you being more successful than the other one. That's going to be, you know, that's rough if you're both in the same profession, no matter, you know, what that profession is, no matter how well how maturely you handle it. That's still rough. Just the whole idea that, you know, my spouse or my significant other or whatever is way better at what I do than I am.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. And so, you know, so him having to deal with that, the fact that she's doing such a good job that she's ready to relocate, but then at the same time is looking at him like, hey, change all of your plans and come with me. You see what I'm saying? Which is kind of like this thing that sometimes it happens in relationships, because we wanted something that felt, we didn't want something that was, you know, you didn't want to have him cheat or anybody cheat on anybody. That's so overdone. It's, you know, everybody's done that, you know, everybody knows that story's been told so many times. In fact, this story has been told so many times, but it's still something that's relatable, you know, and just the idea that, hey, she's growing in a different direction. You know, she's not necessarily doing anything wrong. You know what I'm saying? And he's not necessarily even doing anything wrong in wanting to stay. You see what I'm saying? And figure it out. But it's just this whole idea that, you know, he kind of felt that she was strong-arming him into having to be the one to make this decision and kind of make the call that they weren't going to work out because he ultimately didn't want to go. Yeah. You know what I mean? And it's just, it was kind of cool. It was, like I said, we wanted something really real. And between Nick and Noel being able to kind of help pull that out and kind of, you know, and the fact that they were both actors that were in a relationship with each other, you know, and everything is kind of, you know, kind of put themselves in these positions and kind of went and pulled from there, you know. And they're both just so good. They were, like I said, their performances that they gave us were very, very, very strong. Very strong.
I can agree. With you on that.
Yep. Thank you.
So, Tom, I just want to say thank you for joining us today on today's episode. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up. You're welcome. But before we let you go, tell everybody in social media land where they can find Mr. Tom White at.
Well, Tom, you can find me on Facebook. You can find me at channel757.com. You can add Channel 757 on Facebook. You can add us on Twitter. Please do, and check out the films and everything. We're also on Vimeo. We're also on YouTube as well. Channel 757. Check us out.
Thank you, kind sir. Thank you. You're welcome. And thank you, everybody, for listening and watching this brand new episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks. And before we roll out, make sure that if you are watching this, that you like and subscribe, so that way that you can keep up with your hero, Benjamin Banks, and the crew at the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks podcast. And make sure that you follow all of the Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks social media accounts at Leveling Up Banks. And before we roll out, Trav, tell them where they can find you at in social media land.
You can find your boy on Instagram at ZK Audio. D?
Rebellious _D23 at Instagram.com.
And you can find me, your hero, Benjamin Banks, at King Benji _Banks on Twitter and Instagram. And you can find me on Facebook by typing in Benjamin Banks. I should be the first person to pop up. If not, I need to contact Mr. Zuckerberg. And we have a Patreon. If you're feeling generous and would like to donate to your boys, it's at Leveling Up Banks. Thank you, everybody, for listening or watching, and we'll see you next time. Pinkies up. Peace.
Take care, guys.
Be sure to smash that like button if you enjoyed this video and get notified every time we upload a new one by subscribing and ticking the bell icon. You can also listen to the full episode by searching for Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks on your favorite podcast app. If you'd like to help support more great content like this, be sure to check us out on Patreon. We'll have the link posted in the description below. Thanks for listening, and see you on the next episode of Leveling Up with Benjamin Banks.